Hey guys, welcome back to Inside the Five. It's Will.
Stuff.
And it's Griff.
In today's episode, we got a little NBA free agency just started up today, and a little Red Sox talk, as well as a new segment that we will be talking about later on in this episode. What do we say?
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
All right, guys, welcome back to Inside the Five. We're going to get things kicked off right away with NBA free agency with the news we all wanted to hear. Breaking news, Jalen Brunson signing with the New York Knicks on a 4-year, $110 million deal. What an irrelevant signing that is, boys. I mean, they went from plus 10,000 to win the NBA Finals to plus 10,000 to win the NBA Finals with that move. Will, what are your initial thoughts on that?
I mean, to be fair, it is a good signing, but it's also the Knicks. It's so irrelevant to the possible guys that could be signed. We're amongst a huge blockbuster trade with between Kyrie and KD. Donovan Mitchell's still in talks right now. There's a lot of other better things going on, and this dude just got paid an absolute bag.
Not only that, Will, it's the fact that they made all these moves in order to free up cap space for someone, but the whole time everyone knew it was going to be Jalen Brunson. It's he had a good run in the playoffs, but why was that the number one guy that the Knicks needed, and they went out and got him for a lot of money?
People were saying that they want him, he was saying, I think people were saying that they think him on a team that doesn't have a person like Luka Doncic who needs the ball all the time, pretty much, that he would be a really good player in someone's offense on the team. But I also just don't understand, they do this every year. They just get rid of mad people and then sign an average guy for so much money, and then he does good for 1 year, and then they're oh,
Yeah,
our team sucks.
Back.
Well, the thing is with Jalen Brunson, he's a solid player, but is he really worth $110 million?
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And that's a guy who's gonna at peak average 18 a game in the regular season. So what's your hypothetical starting five now? You're only guaranteed 3 positions with Jalen Brunson. I mean, you're paying him $110 million to start. RJ, who's a solid player, who's eventually going to be due for a contract, and he sees that Jalen Brunson's getting paid $110 million, so God knows what he's going to ask for. And then Julius Randle's the only other guaranteed starter, but no one in New York likes Julius Randle. So it's what direction are the Knicks actually trying to go to? Because they moved mountains to get Jalen Brunson. I feel like they made so many moves. I mean, they're probably going to get rid of Evan Fournier now. They got rid of Kemba Walker. They got rid of pick me up here. Who else did they get rid of? They got rid of Ish Smith and the other guard.
Oh, yeah. Ish Smith actually has the most teams played for in NBA history by a single player. I think it's 13.
Yeah. So it's they moved so many mountains to get Jalen Brunson. And for what? How much better are the Knicks now that they have Jalen Brunson? But I think that's a good starting point. I don't think we're going to go as in-depth with some of these signings. But another signing let's talk about the re-signings first.
I wanted to say the big one. We had 2 Supermaxes go out today. The biggest one, making Nikola Jokic the highest paid player in the NBA with it was 5 years, $264 million Supermax with
the first
50 year, $60 million option.
He's the first player in NBA history to be worth $250 million in one contract, or to get $250 million in one contract, which you could say technically deserved, but that's insane. But Griff, what are your thoughts on that? I mean,
no, I would definitely think that it's deserved, because when you're putting a price on someone like that, he not only has to obviously be your best player, right? But the things that he does in Denver in terms of selling seats, bringing in a whole new audience from overseas. Think about all the money that they actually make from a financial standpoint for that team. I think it's a lot of money. But I think it is 100% worth it, because they're going to make it back from their fans. And where is he from?
Serbia.
The whole country is watching the Denver Nuggets every night. So that's a smart financial move. I guarantee that is going to lead to profit. he owns Europe now. Like him and Luka are the guys. Dirk's gone, and I just from like a financial management standpoint, I think that was a very good move.
I think it was probably like the most like common sense.
It was the same thing with Giannis
for the Nuggets. Yeah,
they're expanding.
Exactly. And then Devin Booker signed, what was it, like a 4-year Supermax? I don't know the numbers on it, but it was also a lot of money.
And the last one that I actually did want to kind of go more in depth with was Bradley Beal re-signing with the Wizards. He's literally just Damian Lillard 2.0. He says that he knows what he wants to do. He said he knows he wants to win and all this stuff, yet he's just kind of stuck in Washington unless he sees a grand master plan to bring like KD to Washington and without giving up anyone and all this stuff. But it's like, what is he doing necessarily? I mean, you can't resist a bag, but at this point in his career, he's had big deals in the past. I think he's re-signed with the Wizards multiple times, which gave him a bag. And at what point in your career I feel like a common theme with a lot of players who retire is the fact that they regret not getting a ring. And yeah, you can have all these career earnings, which is obviously amazing. You're going to have generational wealth, but you still get that if you go to a competitor. Like, you don't get the same amount, but at that point, what's a few $1 million? You know, I mean, that's me saying that, but like, what's the difference if you're a Supermax player of having a chance to compete for a ring, and like, what's the difference? Like $30 million from the Supermax on a team that you play. So it's like, I don't really like that move. I think that he could have tried to do something else, but it's kind of like the media bias here where it's like, if he ran, then he's just chasing a ring, but if he stayed, he's just money hungry.
I feel like the media would have respected him regardless of his decision, because it's one, you have to keep in mind, he's been there through thick and thin. He's deciding to stick it out for longer. I feel like this is one of those cases where you see a player is going to like Brad Beal right now signing a huge contract. He's going to leave after 2 years if they don't do anything. He's basically like, whatever it was, a 5-year deal, he's going to give them half of their deal, and then he's going to get traded to another team for the second half of his deal that's going to take over the rest of their contract. Because I feel like logically, not a lot of teams would probably like match that, because you have to trade for him right now. Because wasn't an extension, or was he a free agent?
He was a free agent.
He was a free agent.
He opted out to re-sign the Supermax.
Yeah, so I feel like that deal was like enormous. I feel like you just can't he has time to make that decision, but I feel like if he stalled the Wizards, I feel like they would have just like given up on him.
It's kind of whatever.
I mean, yeah, no, you think he's going to these different places, and especially when it comes to a player that doesn't play on like a necessarily good team, and like you expect him to leave at some point. And stop, you're right. This isn't like his rookie deal. Like, he signed a 4-year deal last time, and everybody was surprised when he did that. And once that was over, and like they had Russ through that and everything, like, what is his thought process going into next season and the season after that? Does he think that he has like a chance of landing another superstar there? It didn't work last time with Russ, because why would the 1 and the 2 be the 2 best players kind of thing? They both needed the ball. If he's looking for a KD can play with anybody. But the only link that Kevin Durant has to Washington is that's like his hometown team, which is a pretty good link. But I really don't think KD is going to want to go to Washington and build up with Brad Beal for a year. Like, he's ready to win championships, and the Nets are folded. So like, I don't know why Bradley Beal just signed that deal. I think it was just money.
You're looking at Kevin Durant at the wrong time of his career. If this was like 6 years ago, maybe.
Yeah,
I think we kind of skipped over this. I think this is kind of on me. I kind of want to make the Jalen Brunson joke, but DeJounte Murray getting traded to the Hawks is probably going to be the third biggest trade behind wherever Kyrie and KD end up. It's probably going to be 2 separate. And then this DeJounte Murray trade, he's a guy who's going to make an immediate impact and make everyone around him better. We talked about this in our group chat right when it happened. Griff, you said it best. DeJounte Murray is one of the best rebounding point guards in the league. He's one of the best defending on-ball defenders in the league. And he's a guy who's going to give you 29 and 9. He's basically a walking triple-double. He's going to perfectly, hopefully, perfectly fit with Trae Young and what they're trying to build down there in Atlanta. But what is everyone else's initial thoughts on this? Because I think the East is such a gauntlet that you have to take a chance on a player who's up for grabs.
Well, DeJounte Murray is like one of my favorite players in the league, so I got this one.
Yeah.
I wanted DeJounte in where he was going to be the true one. Now, I feel like he's going to kind of be splitting reps with Trae Young, bringing up the ball, being the primary ball handler. But, like, when it comes to what DeJounte Murray can do on defense and on offense in terms of assists, that's going to open up the whole floor for Trae Young, because imagine if Trae Young accepts a role as, okay, you don't have to create off the shot so much. Let's find you moving off ball, kind of in a Steph Curry role, kind of where they have Steph doing, where he's still handling the ball, but there's times where he doesn't have it, and he's going to find his way through screens, get open in the corner, and pop a three. I think that if Trae Young kind of buys into taking a couple of less reps, and so does DeJounte Murray, and they can kind of get their heads around the fact that they can both drop 20 to 25 a game, and then DeJounte can go get like 7 or 8 assists, 10 rebounds, and Trae Young can get his 7 or 8 assists. If they realize that they can do that, then I actually think this might work.
I was going to say, I think it might work too, especially after the last couple of years, like Trae Young and the Hawks kind of folding in the playoffs. And like, especially this year, he kind of got bullied trying to score like a bunch of points every single game. He's kind of understanding that he can't do that every single game, and them winning is it because it won't happen.
Exactly.
So I feel like this will kind of allow some leeway on him. Like, he'll be happy that he doesn't have to drop 40 points a night and take ridiculous shots, but he can do half as much amount of work and have someone else who can equally provide the same thing. But from the whole Hawks perspective, they're losing out on John Collins potentially, which that's a big hit for their starting lineup, because now, like, that's their guy. He's homegrown guy. Like, you don't want to lose that piece. He's very good. So they need to work on
it
other
really
pieces.
It depends on the return on what they get from John Collins, because
Well,
if they trade John,
obviously, yeah,
if they trade
but
John Collins, most likely they're going to get starter caliber players from teams that are rebuilding. Technically, I mean,
yeah, I was saying
they got rid of-
hypothetically, if they didn't get the right piece, like, obviously they're going to accept a trade, but like, if that doesn't work out the way they want it to, like, you're still losing a very valuable piece that would probably still be efficient at that team.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even guaranteed they trade John Collins. I feel like John Collins and Kevin Huerter are two guys who are always going to be in trade talks. But they got rid of Danilo Gallinari and picks. The Hawks, I think, definitely won this trade. And Danilo Gallinari just got bought out by the Spurs. And he's said that two of his teams that he wants to go to are the Bulls and the Celtics. I think the Bulls can offer him more money on the mid-level exception by like $2 million. But the Celtics have to get him. I don't want to kind of sound dramatic here, but it will kind of be demoralizing if we lose out on a player who will get rotation minutes to the Bulls. We're just coming off of a finals appearance where we were a few pieces away from 2 games away from winning it. Some bench scores would help, and that's exactly what Danilo Gallinari is. What is he, 6'9", 6'10", like a pure shooter, can score in the paint. That's a guy who you want off your bench, and he would gladly accept a bench role. And our bench, if we get more and more deep, that obviously puts less pressure on the starters. Everyone knows that, but it also puts less pressure on the front office to get a big name splash free agent, where that's what's going to determine a win or an L for this offseason. Because right now we've seen the reports all day that the Celtics are linked to Kevin Durant and the front offices are talking blah, 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 blah. I'm really not getting my hopes up for that, because I just think it's going to be a punch in the stomach when we trade eventually who we're going to trade, because we know that the Nets said that the only way that they trade Kevin Durant to the Suns is for Devin Booker. Mm-hmm. So there's no way they don't trade Kevin Durant to the Celtics without James
They just came out with a report saying they're asking for 2 All-Stars minimum.
Yep.
Yes.
Like, like whoever you give up, that's
dude,
a lot.
It doesn't make sense,
but it's a lot to ask for. Like,
not a lot of teams even have 2 All-Stars.
I know
there are a few, but like, what do you want, Stephen Clay? Like,
I feel like that makes sense. I feel like this.
And they also said
to the Lakers, like because that's been the talk all day that he's pursuing the Lakers, like he wants to move there. I feel like if that doesn't work out, there's going to be a 3-team combo package deal. That's going to be KD and Kyrie splitting off, but there's going to be multiple teams involved if they want to.
That's a good take, Will. I like that.
A thing that's kind of stupid in my opinion. The Nets could just like not trade him. He's under their contract. He has 4 years remaining on his contract. Is he really going to sit out for the next 4 years?
He loves basketball.
He had KD won't sit out. Kyrie will have no issue.
Yeah, Kyrie hates basketball. We all know that.
Yeah,
KD loves basketball. Like,
there's no way he sits out. And
The thing is, Kyrie kind of is just now in trade talks. He said he's back, so they're obviously going to shop him if they want to play together. That's been the whole talk. So, like, clearly, if they want to play together and they want to move, the 3-team trade where there's going to be a huge package for them is going to make sense. But KD won't sit out because he loves basketball. But KD formally requested a trade. It's not like he's sitting there being like, I'm not going to play for you guys. I don't think that's the case. I feel like he'll take it into the season if it has to be taken into the season.
And he's one of those guys, like we said, he loves basketball. It's not like he's just going to sit out. As stupid as that kind of sounds, he's not going to sit out if he's not getting what he wants. He's a guy who's going to put the game before himself. And
just loves the game. He just absolutely loves the game.
And it's just one of those things where it's like some teams could, like I said in our group chat before, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in Milwaukee for Chris Middleton. And then you package Chris Middleton and a bunch of picks or whatever for Kevin Durant. And if I'm the Nets, I'm like, okay, I get the all-star caliber player. We hypothetically keep Kyrie or whatever they do. Or you trade him to Miami for Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo and picks. Like, if that's what they really want, if you're the Heat, you accept that? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, what is Kevin Durant worth? Because in NBA history, we've never seen a superstar as good as Kevin Durant bounce from so many teams, especially kind of in the prime of his career. So we don't know what to value Kevin Durant at.
Well, we've never really seen him get traded before. Like a trade, like you don't.
We've never seen a superstar get traded like at all.
Like you could say James Harden, but KD's at a different level.
That's a completely different level. That's like if James Harden got traded during his MVP years.
It's low key like. I don't want to say it, but like it's low key LeBron-esque. Like this.
That's what I was just about to say.
It is
LeBron.
Like if LeBron were to get traded, because Bron never got traded either. He just
he's just signed. So what is LeBron James valued at? If you're a franchise, what would you give up to get LeBron James? That's reasonable because technically he's worth more than any package that you could put together.
I know. That's like a whole starting lineup with like 2 all-stars on it. In my opinion,
yeah, they're gonna get a nasty offer. Like whatever they get is gonna be crazy. Like the package is gonna be unreal because if they get rid of both of them, they're gonna be better than what they were with both of them on the same team.
Well, are they though? Because they're real. Like everyone's leaving Brooklyn. Like their entire bench is gone. Their starting 5 is basically gone.
But you have to also keep in mind they got swept in the first round by us, so they're gonna be better.
Andre Drummond just signed with the Bulls, by the way. Just figured
that's a good pickup. I still believe in Andre Drummond. I'll never give up on him. He gets so many rebounds a game. That's a good pickup for the Bulls.
I also want to say the New York Post came out. One thing, it's KD and Jalen Brunson. So the first thing was born to Brun. Knicks expected to land coveted point guard for 4 years, $110 million. They called Jalen Brunson a coveted point guard. They also said thin man has no heart. Durant begs out after single playoff series win for $119.3 million. And it's just that's it.
It's like if I'm a Nets fan, if they even exist, I'm like, what the hell just happened? Because that's probably the biggest disappointment in NBA history. You go from Kyrie, James Harden, KD, literally everyone choosing to go to the Nets to nothing. You have none of those guys. You have Ben Simmons, who isn't even guaranteed to even play next year. So, what direction do you go in? Because if all these guys want out, Kyrie re-signed just to opt in. No, that pisses me off heavily, to be honest. If this was like any other player in any other team, I would be like, what the hell are they doing? Because Kyrie chose to go back, but now he wants out because
He had like a whole quote and everything, and he was like all even or whatever it was, and it was
dare
like
to
11.
be different. Yeah, you're the first player in NBA history to opt into a contract, get an extension for $100-something million, and then 3 days later want to leave after you chose to be there. This. How many times is Kyrie Irving going to do this? Where literally, actually, I'm going to kind of walk back a little bit here. Nobody wants Kyrie Irving besides the Lakers.
I still find that baffling to me, though, because I remember when they said Kyrie didn't want to play with LeBron again. He literally said he didn't want to play with LeBron again.
He's bipolar, so like.
Yeah, that was like that. Who knows if that day Kyrie like. That's the thing. Like he probably signed. He probably resigned. He was having a good day, and then like
it just seems ridiculous to me. Like obviously,
like
everyone, you don't.
And then literally today he was like, "Oh, I want to be traded." Yeah. So like I don't understand. But I feel like we should have saw this coming. Shout out Udonis Haslam, by the way.
I was gonna say the same thing.
1 year deal. He's back for 20th year.
That's crazy. What other guys are we kind of missing here? I mean, Kyle Anderson signing with the Timberwolves, that would have been nice to have on the Celtics. JaVale McGee to the Mavs, that's a good fit. They need it. He's probably going to start for them.
He might start, yeah.
Like
I've been saying that the whole time.
That starting five might not be
but
that
they
bad.
Need a center.
You got Luka, Dinwiddie, small forward, Christian Wood, and then JaVale. Probably at the 3 is going to be Reggie Bullock, but that guy sucks. Like you can't convince me.
Yeah, Reggie Bullock stinks.
That guy stinks. But I mean,
what about Donovan Mitchell, possibly going to the Heat?
Well, no, that was Cap.
Was it actually? Because I saw a bunch of stuff saying that. That's I didn't say it was going to happen, but like they said that. That's
the source for that was Fat Joe, and then Fat Joe came out and said that he didn't say it.
Oh, what? That's what you sent in the group chat? That's what that was?
Yeah.
Oh, I was so confused. What?
I mean, it totally could happen, but that report itself.
Because I saw a bunch of like NBA like Twitter accounts like tweeting out saying that they were like in heavy talks and like that they were discussing like a move.
I don't see why they might be, to be honest. I feel like that's a good fit.
Another it's a great fit, but like the Jazz, are they willing to move on from Mitchell? Who knows? But some low-key signings. Joe Ingles signed with the Bucks. No one really seemed to be talking about that. The Clippers re-signed Nick Batum, and the Bucks re-signed Bobby Portis. The Bucks are kind of trending in the right direction. I don't really know what they're doing with Pat Connaughton. I don't know if they
re-signed him.
They re-signed him? Okay.
Yes,
so
sir.
That's another they're kind of running it back. They're like, okay, if Chris Middleton's healthy, we're running it back and we can beat anyone. That's what I see as what they're doing.
How can that not
By the way, man of the week, Pat Connaughton, he re-signed with the Bucks, and then the next day flew to Greece because Giannis's movie just dropped and he was at the premiere. I mean, what a teammate! You have to have him around the locker room. He's a cool guy, just an absolute great bench mob.
Giannis's best friend.
Player. He is.
Yeah, I know,
and that's why you need him on the Bucks. So shout out Pat.
I'm just kind of looking through Shams. Oh, all right. By the way, Shams has overtaken Woj, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Victor Oladipo re-signing with the Heat, 1 year, $11 million. That's all right. That's kind of interesting because there might be some subliminal messages there. You don't pay a guy $11 million to come off the bench. He might start.
Yeah, he might start, and I think he could start.
Easily.
I think he should.
He was
probably their best, like probably their second best player in that series against the Celtics.
In the Celtics series, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely. I mean, I think Jimmy was number one.
Yeah, easily. That's hands down.
He had a couple of games where he was off, but like the things that he did and the amount that he played was just insane.
All right. Kevin Knox signed a 2-year deal with the Pistons. The Pistons are kind of building something of a very young team. I like
it. I'm excited for the Pistons.
They're probably going to buy out Kemba Walker, and their average age is what, could it be 26, 25, not even?
The Pistons? Okay, wait. I'm going to say it. This year, my young, fun, exciting team is the Detroit Pistons.
That's a good pick.
Yes.
I'm going to wait.
That's my team. I'm gonna like watch them. I'm gonna have fun watching them.
I'm rocking with you on that one. We were talking about that earlier.
Lonnie Walker signed a 1-year deal with the Lakers. That's That's a good signing for the Lakers.
I wanted him for the Celtics. Can
Me
guard
too.
all 5 positions. Great off the bench. I wouldn't think he'd be a starter.
Dwayne Dedman re-signed with the Heat. I'm just kind of going through Shams tweets. Anything. Malik Monk signing a 2-year deal with the Kings. That's a decent. He's probably going to start.
It's not a bad one.
DeAndre Jordan to the Nuggets. Yeah, that's pretty much it, actually. Like, other than that.
Who's their other bench spot? You know what? DeMarcus Cousins, he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
Oh yeah. Wait, what?
I forgot.
Yeah,
they just like now they're gonna snub DeMarcus Cousins. He was so good off the bench this year.
Yeah, that kind of like that caught me off guard when you said that. I was like, "What, DeMarcus Cousins? What did I miss?" But
he's just their backup. He's their backup center, and he's really good.
I'll take DeMarcus Cousins on the Celtics.
I would take DeMarcus Cousins on any basketball team. I think he could play on any team, but not a starter. Maybe a couple teams, but
off
like
the bench.
He's a do-it-all center, and he fits in so well with the Nuggets because Jokic can shoot, can stretch it out a little bit, and so can Boogie. I think it works very well there, and I don't agree with that signing.
I feel like
Boogie.
Yeah, I feel like DeAndre Jordan's very overrated. He doesn't really have a skill set other than catching lobs. And if you don't have a pass-first point guard, DeAndre Jordan's worthless. Like, you look at the Nets.
Chris Paul made him look like a god. And then once he didn't have a point guard, he was just like back to like, okay. He gets
you know what?
Like 8
you know what my
rebounds.
favorite thing is about NBA Twitter and stuff? It's like, oh, this team's like a point guard like Chris Paul away. There is no point guard like Chris Paul.
No, at all.
That just be like, oh, we're like a LeBron type player away. But the fact that like Chris Paul
LeBron
is like,
type player,
like Chris Paul for some reason is a guy who everyone's like, oh, we need a player like him. Yeah, no shit. Like
nobody's like him.
Yeah,
like
nobody's Chris Paul. There's a reason why Chris Paul is Chris Paul. It's like, oh, we need a player like Michael Jordan or Steph Curry, and we'll be fine. Yeah,
like he's like a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think that's so.
Like,
funny,
yeah, I'd hope you'd be fine if you signed someone like that.
It's like, oh, we need someone like a Ray Allen. Like you can't say you need someone like a Hall of Famer because like who would be the closest to a Chris?
Yeah. Imagine being like, oh yeah, we're just a Shaq away from winning the NBA Finals. Like so is every team in the NBA.
I think that's so stupid that people like actually use that in that. I think the knowledge of NBA Twitter just going right down into the toilet.
Downward spiral.
I look at some of these comments, and it's like, first of all right, hold on. This is kind of a side note. Canadian sports fans are the stupidest people ever. Toronto specifically. They have the most unrealistic expectations. They are the stupidest people to talk to on Twitter. I'll always remember the Celtics went up to Toronto and they played nobody. I think Sam Hauser started, and we took them into overtime when they were fully healthy. And
the Marcus Smart game?
Yeah, the Marcus Smart game.
Yes,
and
Smart.
Raptors fans are like, this is a huge win for us. This is like against a really good team. We didn't have anybody. And it's like, if I was a fan of the Raptors, I'd be like, damn, this team's G League team just took us into overtime at home when we were fully healthy. But like, I got into it with some people on Twitter who are Raptors fans saying like, hold this L, we'll see you in the playoffs. I'm like, I sure hope we see you in the playoffs because we will sweep you, as they basically got. I mean, actually, they almost came back from 3-0. But Raptors fans, Blue Jays fans, Maple Leafs fans are all stupid. I saw
Toronto in general.
I saw so many Raptors fans tweeting out KD come to Toronto. He doesn't want to go to fucking Toronto. Like, nobody wants to go to Toronto. Nobody signs there for a reason. Who the hell wants to go to Canada to play basketball?
No, Kawhi Leonard literally went there with 1 year left on his deal and then didn't re-sign, and he won it.
He played a half season there. He literally played a half a season.
And they gave him the entire city, and he said no. He's like, I'm good. I'm going to go to LA. Like, if Kawhi Leonard, the most mellow guy who doesn't say anything, doesn't want to play for the Raptors, if he doesn't want to play for your franchise.
He played for the Spurs for like 9 years, and they just didn't have Tim Duncan for like the last 5.
I love how he super casually won an NBA Finals.
He was like, no, I want to go. Like, he probably just didn't like being in a different country.
Yeah, dude, that sucks. You got to show your passport literally every time you like play any other team in the NBA. It's like, I mean, I'm sure that I don't think the vaccination thing is a problem with KD because he played in New York, but like, that's another thing. It's just like there's so many external factors that factor into you going to Toronto. Why do you think literally nobody re-signs in Toronto? Like Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, DeMar DeRozan got traded, and he's not going back to Toronto. Kyle Lowry left. All these guys just don't play for the Raptors anymore. They have their rookie deal, or they get traded there and then leave. Literally everybody. I mean, you had obviously Lowry and DeRozan, but they're like gone. The franchise. Their two best franchise players aren't even going to be
the star. Spitty P.
They're never. No one's going to retire a Raptor. No one's going to be like. I mean, yeah, DeRozan and Kyle Lowry are going to be known as Raptors, but they're not going to retire as Raptors. They're not going to.
They might sound like one day, if anything.
Oh yeah, one day, but like
Toronto.
Nobody.
Like doesn't love it that much.
Yeah, like nobody is going to play in Toronto for their entire career that plays longer than like 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it like since I think their inaugural season was like 96. Like you said, everybody just left. Like T-Mac, like Vince was there for a while and then he left. And I mean, he played like 17 seasons. And I think like 5-6 of them were with Toronto. Like people just leave Toronto. Like nobody wants to play there. I don't know if it's just the fact if it's I mean, I personally don't mind like the cool weather in the winter, and at the same time you're playing indoors. I don't think it's that big of a deal. So there must be something that players genuinely hate with Toronto. Because nobody stays.
Yeah, it's
I don't it doesn't make sense.
Like
it does, but
what else is there that I wanted to bring up? The Nets wanting 2 All-Stars in exchange for KD is from Stephen A. Smith. I don't know how reliable that source is, considering Stephen A. Smith just says stuff. He throws stuff at a wall and sees what sticks. Jaylen Brown,
his take, to be honest.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown and Draymond Green got into it today. Jaylen Brown sticking up for the Celtics. Draymond Green was saying how they knew they won the series after Draymond Green and Jaylen got into that scuffle game 2 or whatever. They're saying that he knew Jaylen Brown was like a mentally weak person or whatever. And then Jaylen Brown clapped back and said, "You can say whatever you want when you win, but I've never seen a guy who averaged 6 points a game in the finals talk this much shit." He's right. Draymond Green's literally a coattail. He wouldn't be in the NBA if it wasn't for Steph Curry. He talks nonstop. Literally, dude, get over it. Like
he said some whack shit the other day too.
Yeah,
he was like, "Oh yeah, if I win 5 rings, am I better than LeBron?" Like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
And then,
close.
bro, he said, I think we're gonna win 3 out of the next 4 rings.
It's like
we're gonna win 3 championships.
Who's we?
Like you actually had such a bad like. I feel like the only reason that Steve Kerr started him was just out of respect because he was nasty at one point. But like everybody just runs by him now. Like Jaylen Brown cooked him all finals, and I bet Jaylen like is still tight about the finals, which I would be too, obviously. But I feel like Jaylen Brown's a person that's actually not going to be like happy with this until like he wins an NBA Finals. That's the dog.
That's why
I don't need to stay in Boston.
I'm going to be on record. I think we all kind of agree with this. I don't want Jaylen Brown for KD. I want Jaylen Brown and JT to be on this team forever. If we can bring KD in without giving up Jaylen Brown, then perfect. Literally give up. To be honest,
you said it perfectly earlier.
Give up anybody else besides Jaylen Brown and Jason
perfectly
Tatum.
Earlier on text. You're like, I'd rather give up every pick that I have for like the next 7 years. Like I agree. Let's just roll with this team.
There's no way I would ever want Kevin Durant on the current Celtics roster unless we can keep Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. It doesn't make sense. Because we're giving away at least another 15 years for like 5 at most.
Would you give up Marcus Smart?
Yeah, I mean for Kevin Durant, it's one of those things where
it's
like I love Marcus Smart. Yeah, I love Marcus Smart. Don't get me wrong.
Marcus Smart's jersey's getting retired.
Yeah. It's one of those. I love Marcus Smart. I literally have a shirt. Like, he's just what KD is that guy. KD is one of the best scorers of all time. He will make a tremendous positive impact.
Again.
Yeah, I think.
That would be awesome.
I think because if there was an outstanding trade right now, KD will be on another team, and I think the Nets kind of see that. And if they actually do want to move on from KD and respect his trade request, then they're going to have to settle for a little less than 2 All-Stars. I think that if they can get 3 young players and 5 picks, then you have to say yes to that. That's literally 8 spots. Like, there's maybe, like Will said before, a 3-team trade where they can
the
finesse
only way
something
I
like
see
that.
them getting 2 All-Stars for any sort of like deal with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving is going to also have to be involved with like a 3-team trade.
But another thing, like, remember when the Nets got James Harden from the Rockets? They only had to give up like Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen
nothing.
technically because it was a 3-team trade where Jarrett Allen and Karis LeVert went to the Cavs, and the Rockets
got picks.
They got
picks.
Yeah, they got like picks, but they in my opinion, the picks in the NBA are not as much of value as they are in like the NFL, because a first round pick plays maybe 2 years in the NBA. Like we got to
like top 5
unless it's a lottery protected pick.
Yeah. We have like the 30th pick in the first round.
Yeah, there's only like 13 or 15 people on a team in the first place. Like, it's hard to earn your spot.
Yeah,
like exactly. You want guys with experience, they know how to play in the NBA. It's a whole different.
That's kind of my mindset in general with sports. Is I'd rather have a proven player than a draft pick. Like, yeah. I'd probably be like Sean McVay, where it's like trade all your picks for proven players because you know what you're getting out of them. With college players and players coming into the draft from overseas or whatever, it's like, yeah, his ceiling could be here, but his floor is way lower. And if your team in win now mode, who cares if you have a prospect of the future, especially if you're the Celtics and your future is set. You have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who are 25 and 24. You have Robert Williams, who's 24. You have all these guys. You have Pritchard and Nesmith off the bench, who are like 23 and 22 or whatever. It's like, who cares about draft picks? How much more can you draft that's actually going to impact your team? So I think that just have to have the Sean McVay mindset, like F them picks.
I mean, I feel like the logic behind that too is like I'd rather try to hit on like a late round pick and give up my first round picks for someone who's already proven, like you said. I'd rather still have my late round picks just to have that opportunity. But like, it's very rare that would happen. But like, there's not a lot you can really get for like late round, second round picks. That isn't very minimal. That's like very minimal, like advantage of trading them in the NBA, unless it's like a huge package deal.
Right, but the thing is, like, when we're still on the topic of Kevin Durant, trading, I mean, it would be a countless number of picks, right?
We would be like, going down years.
We would have to really buy into having KD for at least 4 or 5 years.
For the rest of his contract.
It would be for the rest of his contract.
Yes, and like, do we want to give up picks so far in the future either? Because, like, we need to think about there's going to be some point where some players either move on, retire, and I mean, short-term thinking, like Al Horford's pretty old, you know, and Rob Will's still young. Marcus Smart has some time, but say if we trade Marcus Smart in this trade for KD, we're still going to have to give up a ton of picks. Yeah. And we want Kevin Durant. He's an MVP caliber player. He loves basketball, like we said. He's not going to miss games. He's going to go 110% every game, which is so dangerous with his skill set. The fact that he just wants it at all times and he can get it is just, I mean, he would be successful on any team. It would be awesome. But you have to think about the way that we've been drafting as well. We have guys that can pan out. So what I'm saying is, I don't want to be pickless for like years on years to come because of Kevin Durant, unless we're winning. But if we see other people move on and we're just based off this core of, say, like just the big three, KD, JB, and JT, that would be fantastic. We'd have a big three, but like, where is everybody else going to be?
You got to think of it as well like this. KD attracts superstars to join him. So it's not like, okay, yeah, we get rid of these picks, right? KD has such an influence with everyone in the NBA where he's like, oh, come play with me. And guys are like, yes, I want to play with KD. If KD reaches out to me, I will drop whatever I'm doing and sign with them. We saw it with the Nets. The Nets got literally anybody who was in free agency because KD was there. Yeah. So we could get guys to take less money to go to whatever team KD is on. And eventually Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum will have that same impact because winning attracts superstars. I really don't think that's up for debate. If you win, you will attract players to help improve your team. We see it across all sports. It's like, oh, this winning franchise called me to go play with them. That means something. Like, if you make it to the highest level of competition in sports, you are a competitor. And for a team who is competing to reach out to you and recruit you, it makes a player appreciated. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of see the quotes all the time. It's like, wow, like Bill Belichick called me to play for him. He has a spot for me. I want to play for him. KD reaches out to me. LeBron reached out to me and said that he has an idea for me to be on his team. I want to play with LeBron James and say I played with LeBron James. So KD he attracts other people. So the picks really do balance out with vet minimum free agents.
That's very true. It is. And you're right. When it comes to someone, especially like Kevin Durant, if you can build around these three, then we're going to be a team that has the rest of our core is, say if everybody stays, I'm praying to God we can keep Rob Will. Because a team that had JT, JB, Kevin Durant, and Rob Will, you have 4 very, very hard workers and 4 people that are hustling at all times. And I mean, I feel like Rob Will would fit very well with Kevin Durant, especially if he was paired up with JB and JT. When it comes to our 1, I think at one point we're going to have like a veteran at the 1. I don't think Marcus Smart's going to be in our long-term plans if we have Kevin Durant. I just don't think it makes sense in terms of the amount of shots he likes to take, right? And the fact that he's not a true facilitator. It's something that he had to learn, and it's something that you can learn. But I feel like we could see ourselves signing like a vet facilitate, can knock down shots when he needs to, and his main goal is to get the ball out to our wings. And KD put it best, it's a wing dominant league. It would just make more sense, and it would free up more cap space to extend our bench.
Oh, what I don't understand at all is the report saying that Kyrie and KD would want to play together again. Well, you can.
So just play together again.
No one's stopping you. And what are the Nets doing that's so bad that they don't want to go back to Brooklyn? I feel like the Nets in general have done literally everything.
It's literally Steve Nash. They don't like him.
But like that's a thing that's so fixable, and that's why I don't think that's it. Like
I have to disagree with you on that.
But the coach,
it's not fixable. It's not fixable if they just hired him. They won't just fire him for no reason because
they will. They hired him for no reason.
There's that's besides the point. They obviously hired him because they thought he was the right candidate for the job. You bring in 2 superstars for a rookie coach, KD and Kyrie, you know it's not going to end well. That's their mistake they have to deal with. Like that's the most like you have to think, okay, rookie coach with 2 superstars, he should be able to make this out. You're also handling 2 of the biggest divas in the NBA. It's not going to work.
So, but hypothetically, if I'm KD and Kyrie and I still want to play with each other, like if we want to play together, that I feel like my voice as Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant,
I would go straight to front office.
Yeah,
I don't want feel like you have to pull there, but clearly they didn't want to go that route. He wanted out right away.
I feel like that conversation was definitely had, if that is the truth.
That's what I'm saying.
But are the Nets?
They weren't willing to fix it. That's what I'm trying to say. With what you're saying was that they didn't want to fix it because they had that conversation and it didn't end well. Clearly, that's not the case.
But are the Nets really gonna pick Steve Nash over Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant? I don't think so. I think that
didn't work.
Ridiculous. But like,
there's no proof evidence that would work. It didn't work.
But it could have.
They had Harden. Didn't work either.
Yeah, but they haven't all played a full season. Hypothetically,
they won't next year if they play either. They won't next year if they play either.
But like they could, like hypothetically, a healthy.
Well, they could fire Steve Nash, but they're not.
Well, yeah, exactly. So like, if you're the Nets, you have the position to keep both Kyrie and KD, and they're like, oh, we just want Steve Nash out. If I'm the Nets front office, get Steve Nash the fuck out of here so we can bring these guys back. And the Nets have done literally everything in their power to keep Kyrie Irving and KD happy. They brought James Harden aboard. They signed this guy. They let go of this guy. They got a new coach. They did everything. So if the Nets are like not going to do this thing, even though Steve Nash has proven not to be a good coach, I'm not sure that's the outlying factor because Kyrie and KD ran that team by themselves. I don't think Steve Nash is the fact, oh, we don't want to play in Brooklyn
Well, if
anymore.
they ran the team by themselves and they were hypothetically successful, then why didn't they win anything? Why didn't they do anything?
Yeah, we're agreeing here essentially.
Yeah.
So if they're not doing anything now, then what's the point of going to another team and doing it? Because
they're not going to. I don't actually. They're saying they will, but
they're saying they're open to playing with each other again, but they can't. So I don't know if I buy that. There's no reason why they can't run it back with Brooklyn. You go to the front office and be like, okay, what we've done so far isn't working. Hypothetically, we get a healthy Ben Simmons back. That's our 4. We got Kyrie at the 1. I'm the 3 if I'm KD. Joe Harris is coming back. He's going to be the 2. Nick Claxton's our 5. So you have the pieces. You just need to run it back with a good head coach and a different mindset. And it's one of those things where it's like, what would changing the franchise of Kyrie Irving and KD together, what would that do? Absolutely nothing. So I don't buy that they want to play together again.
I think it's already in their heads that they just don't want to be on Brooklyn. That's literally what they said.
I think it's just the fact that they're too like Will said, they're divas. So it's just the fact that it didn't work is they're just gonna give up on it. They're gonna jump ship early just because they don't.
I think Kyrie wants to play with KD, but KD doesn't want to play with Kyrie.
That's what I was trying to say.
I 100% agree with that.
I think it's not
agree with that
because KD's a hard worker. KD played the whole season. Kyrie didn't. KD's definitely pissed off.
No, I 100% agree with that.
Loves basketball.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that because KD wouldn't ask for a trade after Kyrie re-signed. But I'm just kind of going back to my original point here of Kyrie and KD have no reason to be mad at the Brooklyn organization because the organization delivered everything that they could have won.
Oh, yeah. I feel like the only reason why they can be mad is that Steve Nash for just not being a better coach.
Yeah,
but you can't put all the blame on him because there's really nothing that he can do.
And that's not
I feel bad for him genuinely, and I feel like any other team he would probably be successful. It's just he got in a shitty situation, which is hard to even say when you have KD and Kyrie and James Harden and Ben Simmons.
As your first coaching job, it's tough.
You
have to manage a lot of personalities.
Well, it's one of those things where it's it's not the Nets' fault, so I don't know why they're blaming the Nets. The Nets, as an organization, did nothing wrong with either of those guys. They were literally perfect for Kyrie Irving. Kyrie didn't want to practice. That's fine. You didn't want to play these games. You were unvaccinated. That's fine. That's okay. You still have your spot. Oh, I want James Harden on my team. That's okay. Bring him aboard. Blake Griffin, bring him aboard. DeAndre Jordan. I want DeAndre Jordan to make $40 million a year and sign, and I will sign. Sure, we'll pay DeAndre Jordan $40 million a year. That's what they did in 2019. The Nets literally gave the keys to the franchise to Kyrie and KD. They didn't succeed. Those two guys have no reason to be mad at Brooklyn, and they shouldn't say that they want to play with each other somewhere else because they have no team should take those two guys together just because they say that they want to play together again. If it didn't work in Brooklyn, what's the reason it would work in Miami and LA or wherever? There's no reason for it to work anywhere else if it didn't work in Brooklyn because Brooklyn literally gave them everything they could have possibly wanted.
Yeah.
All right.
Summed it up. I think it's just
pretty much just summed it up. There's really nothing that you can contest to saying that they would be successful anywhere else because you'd imagine they'd still blow up the franchise for them because of the stature that they hold in the NBA. In my opinion, the Nets are probably better off but pre KD, Kyrie, James Harden trades, they were a better off team. They would have been more successful. We don't know that, but they gelled well. That young core gelled together. I thought getting rid of Jarrett Allen was probably the dumbest decision they'd ever make. I thought Jarrett Allen would be a perfect starting center for all three of them. I think they would, even if they kept that starting core and then got KD and Kyrie and then kept Jarrett Allen, they would have been perfect as a big three.
Yeah, it doesn't
make sense.
The Nets really do. Every time their franchise kind of unravels, it's their own self-doing, I guess. I think we said this on the pod before, that 2017, 2018 team with D'Lo, the fun team, they got rid of that for this, and those guys won out now. The Celtics literally ended that franchise twice in the past 12 years. So
no other franchise.
Yeah. So
we're about to face them again for KD.
Yeah, the Celtics are gonna trade Neesmith and Pritchard and 3 first-round picks for KD. All right, I think we should move on to the Sox now. It's been an hour of NBA free agency talk. I think that was a great talk, by the way. But speaking of
Yes.
great, let's talk about the Boston Red Sox. I mean, although we
Mm.
didn't win the series against Toronto, we took a game in extras, but that was a very winnable series. They were in game one, we got smoked. That was a scheduled loss. You're going Kevin Gausman against Connor Siebold. It was
Yeah.
who let up 7 earned.
His
That's
first ever
scheduled.
start.
Yeah, that's a scheduled L. I'm not kicking
Basically,
myself
if the
over
series
that.
was played at Fenway, we would have swept them.
Like hypothetically, yeah, you could say that. I mean,
Yeah.
game 2, you go in, you're up 5-4 in the 9th inning, and then you didn't get an out and you lose. And then the last game you win because Alex Verdugo is awesome. So, I'm very happy with where the Red Sox are. This episode's coming out tomorrow, Friday, right?
Yes.
Are we gonna? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's game day. The Sox take on Chicago at Wrigley Field, which is a very cool series. You always love to see like two historic franchises going at it in Wrigley Field, and the Sox should sweep, in my opinion. I think the pitching matchups aren't really anything worth noting, but Jarren Duran and Tanner Houck are rejoining the team, which is always good. Jarren Duran's been on fire. Tanner Houck's 6 for 6 when it comes to closing, and a guy that I really do want to talk about that I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this is John Schreiber has been phenomenal. I wouldn't be. He has a vote for my in the All Stars. He's making a case to be on the All Star team because of how dominant he's been in the mid relief spot.
I mean, just looking at what he's done, not only with when we have him as a setup, essentially coming in the 8th, and how closing it down the 9th. When he came out in the 7th last night or on Wednesday night now, I really was expecting him to pitch 2 innings. Like, he's a guy that I could see pitching the 7th and the 8th and then have Howe come in the 9th unless we're in Toronto. Like, he's someone that's been locked down. He plays with a lot of confidence. We saw him strike out Vlad last night, like, easily. It just, like, he came out of nowhere, and it's exactly what we needed, in my opinion. I think he's one of our couple more appearances before I claim him as that, because he's still a little bit newer, but he's been awesome, and it's exactly what we've needed.
Couldn't have said any better. I mean, we need someone like that in our bullpen, especially. What are we sitting at? Still second place, right, in the AL East?
Yeah, after the win last night, we're back.
Which is really great. It's been a while, but from the last time we were quite bad. We were on an upward streak, but I feel like most of our conversations have led to us being like, what the hell are we doing as a team? We need bullpen, we need players.
Well, we're tied with Toronto in that second place spot. However, they have the tiebreaker over us.
Yeah, but still, we're in a much better position than where we were about a month ago, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We were in second place last night.
Yeah.
After the game.
Yeah.
And that was big for us. We needed that.
Well, is it head-to-head record? Because I know the tiebreaker isn't normal for baseball. Isn't run differential the second tiebreaker? It's record and then run. Then if that's the case, then the Red Sox are second because they have a better run differential by 29. They actually have the second best run differential in the AL. I'm sorry, the third best run differential in the AL behind. Obviously, Yankees are one at plus 150, which is unbelievable. And the Astros are second with 73. The Red Sox are third with 60. And the closest one after that is Minnesota with 44, which I'm not really scared of the Twins. But, I mean, the AL, if the Red Sox were in any other division, they'd be in first place in that respective division, in my opinion, just because of the level of competition in every other division. The Red Sox have kind of struggled in the AL East this year, but the teams haven't really faced the Red Sox of June. You know what I mean?
Right.
The Red Sox of April and May, I really don't think are the same. It's not the same team as now, because you got guys now like Jarren Duran who's stepping up into his role perfectly. Franchi Cordero went 4 for 5 last night, 4 for 4.
4 for 4.
Awesome acquisition, or not acquisition, awesome call up. He's stepping into his role perfectly. Rob Refsnyder. Rob Refsnyder probably was like the MVP of this Toronto series behind the obvious Verdugo. He was driving in RBIs every single game. He was making great plays in the field. He has a great glove and right. So I kind of wanted to talk about this as well. What's the point of having JBJ if Rob Refsnyder is doing everything that he's doing right now? Rob Refsnyder has a better bat than JBJ, and he's playing just as well in the field.
There isn't.
I mean, and it's not only that; it's also the fact that Kike is going to come back up soon, right? I think he should be having a rehab start any week now in Worcester, and we have Jarren Duran up right now as well, and obviously we put him on the COVID list while we were in Toronto, so he should be back for Chicago unless they bring him down. But Jarren Duran's a guy that, I mean, he's been playing quite good too. He steals a lot of bases, which is big for us. And he's been getting on base a lot, and he's been leading off. And he's by far our fastest player.
I know I don't know. I think I said it to you, Griff, or we were talking about it. But I was like, we should, with Kike coming back, I think Jarren Duran should still be our starter. I feel like
I agree. I think they should platoon Kike and Jarren Duran.
Yeah, I think they need to explore that option, especially now. I mean, like, Kike has been all right this year. It's nothing like he's been like last year. Yes, he still has the opportunity to be better this season, but right now I think it's more advantageous we have Jarren Duran, especially for the stolen base possibility while he's getting on base. I feel like that's super helpful, and he's hitting the ball well. Like, he's doing well overall. Like, he's doing more than what we thought he was going to do.
And even if we could find a way to have him adjust to maybe even playing in right, and if Kike can come back, play center, or vice versa, instead of having Refsnyder there every night, because I'm not sold on him as an everyday guy. The reason I'm more sold on Duran is because of his youth compared to Refsnyder. He's bounced around a couple of teams. I know he was with the Yanks for a long time. Jarren Duran is a guy that was kind of homegrown, and he's still young. So I would rather have him playing every day. But seeing Refsnyder in and out, I would love to just have Kike and Duran starting, because not only does that bring Kike back, who, I mean, is supposed to be the Kike of last year and still has the potential to be. We've seen it. And we then aren't losing our lefty bat in right field with JBJ. We still have them right there, and he's been leading off for us. It's been Jarren Duran. His youth, he needs to play every day. So if he's not going to play every day, you might as well just send him right back down to continue that development.
And Duran
even be playing in AAA, in my opinion. He's way too good for AAA.
I think he's earned it. I think I don't know. I was just like, this was it. He is now a major leaguer. Like, he should just now be a major leaguer. He should be up. I think he earned it.
Duran brings so much more to the team than just one aspect. He's basically a 5-tool player. Like, when he's on the base path, a pitcher is thinking about him constantly, because if they're not, he's going to take second. And even if they are thinking of him, he's still going to take second. So you get him on base, he's basically already on third, because he consistently scores. If a ball goes into the gap and he's on first base, he's going to score. That's such a weapon to have, especially this is looking ahead, but in the playoffs, when small ball comes back, you need speed on the bases. And the Red Sox really do lack speed, minus Jarren Duran and maybe Trevor Story.
Franchi has wheels.
Franchi does as well. I should have included him.
And that's why I love him at first. He's a guy that's big. He hits tanks. He hits doubles.
He's doing more than just hitting tanks now, which is crazy. Like, Franchi Cordero is hitting for contact. Like, he's getting the ball where it needs to be. Same thing with Verdugo now. Verdugo's not trying to kill the ball. Verdugo's hitting the ball all over the place. So we saw it last night with the gate when bases were loaded. Verdugo stepped up to the plate and hit it opposite field into the gap. He hit it where it needed to be. And that's what makes this Red Sox lineup so dangerous, is a lot of the guys can hit the ball where it needs to be. Devers has very underrated opposite field power.
Yes.
JD only hits opposite field, it seems like. Xander is kind of more of a pull hitter. But it's just, this Red Sox team has what it takes. They just need to make the right decisions. And if they decide, okay, Jarren Duran's our everyday guy, I think that you go trade Kike Hernandez maybe and get a really solid bullpen arm. Or you keep Kike Hernandez, but Kike Hernandez is such a utility guy that he can play anywhere. And that's what we need in a
And he's,
hypothetical.
in my opinion, he's just a good guy to have around. Like in
I
general,
know,
like you said,
but
like, he can
it's
play
so
second
hard.
on off days, but he's kind of a starter.
He is a starter, and that's why it's hard to keep him around, especially if Duran is playing so well. But it also comes back to the point of, can he play right? Can Duran play right?
Exactly.
And it's like, but then you take a lefty out, but then it's just you move guys around.
Well, you take a lefty out, but if Duran's playing every day,
yeah,
like that's the replacement for JBJ.
We have to kind of sit with Kike and be like, we want you on this team. You just kind of have to accept a utility role. You might not necessarily be in. Yeah, he would. I think. I mean, that's what he did all his entire career in LA. But he's an everyday guy for the Red Sox. He proved that he was probably our best player in the postseason last year. So yes. I don't know how easily of a transition it would be for him to go back to being a utility guy.
I feel like you'd have to be a little bit understanding the given situation of where we're at as a team.
And Alex Cora is probably one of those guys who is good at explaining to guys what their role is.
And it's almost like we're not saying that he's not going to be there, say, like 5 nights a week. Like, he's going to be starting 5 nights a week, right? Like, he's going to be in right a lot. He's going to be flip-flopping. I mean, unless we move JBJ, he's going to be flip-flopping with Ref Snyder, JBJ, and then maybe splitting some reps with Duran and center. Like,
I feel like it's going to start with how we have like our statistic Alex Cora with days that we play lefties. Kike will probably play.
Well, the thing is, Kike is not even that solid against lefty pitchers. Like,
yeah, like it's like I don't know, whatever the advantage is.
And righties, I'd rather have Ref Snyder going up against lefties than Kike.
Whatever the statistical advantage is whatever we're gonna play most likely.
Yeah, so it's like
if I think
it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have when you have a lot of guys who can step in and be a starter, and then we're debating which one of our guys should be an everyday starter because they are all so good. That's a good problem to have. And if we could hypothetically move someone for a guy like Daniel Bard, or even get another guy to be a starter like Luis Castillo from Cincinnati or Frankie Montas from Oakland, the team will be in a really good spot. I mean, I think Cora said last night that Garrett Whitlock's going to be going back into the bullpen most likely when he returns, which is awesome because then you have Schreiber, Houck, Garrett Whitlock, Strom, Diekman. You got guys who can step in, and that's what we need. We need guys, and if we get one more bullpen arm, we get one more starter, this team is in a really good spot.
Agreed. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, my fault. No, yeah, but I totally agree, and I feel like that's gonna wrap up our Red Sox talk. Kind of smooth sailing on this episode.
New segment.
To our new segment, William was the one that came up with this segment, pretty much. Unless it was you and Stav, right? It might have been you and Stav. You brought the idea to me.
It was a mix.
Well, I'll let you break this new segment down.
All right, guys. So, new segment. We're going to call it IT5, boys and girls, IT5 top 5, and everyone. Thank you. IT5 top 5, the new segment. So basically what we're going to do is we all have our top 5 lists. This week, we kind of came up with our own topic, but the coming times we do this segment, we're going to have it on Instagram, and we'll have the people vote on what we will have it. It's going to be a good mix of sports topics, not sports topics, whatever we like. So for this Inside the 5 top 5, we have worst things to happen on a golf course. So we're going to snake draft order, top 5. Griff, pick the order.
Okay. Will, you brought me this idea. I'm going to give you the honor of picking first.
Okay.
And just as a gentleman, Stav, I'll let you pick second.
Thank you.
Picks in a row.
Start. All right. So I'll kick us off. I'm going to go literally only picking this one because it happened to me yesterday, is getting paired up.
That's a good
when
pick.
You go by yourself.
That is a good pick.
Like I wrote in my notes that it can be good or bad because this year we've been lucky. The people we've been paired up with.
We've been lucky with the people we've been paired up with.
They've been nice people. Like I don't have a problem with the people. It's just like it's not the vibe. If I'm like
I've gotten some quality laughs from people that I've been paired up with too.
Like Matt,
I've been quite lucky.
He's a good guy.
it's not even like a bad thing getting paired up. It's not like when you have the mindset of like, oh, I'm just trying to go with my friends, or I'm just
Especially
trying to
when you're
go
with
by
yourself
myself.
too, when it's like I'm gonna lock
Like,
in and play a good round right now.
yeah, like I was by myself and like there was people in front of me and they just like they were going. It was a whole mess. But like getting paired up is just definitely not ideal.
All right, I'll go. That's a great pick. I actually had
Pretty
that
cool.
as well.
That's 1-1 for me.
For my first pick, I'm gonna go for that feeling that you get when you go to grab a club out of your bag and it's just not there and you don't know where you left it.
Oh, that's a good pick.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good pick. You left it on the last.
Yeah, that I thought that we all can relate to that. I've left my 60 on every single green ever. So, all right, Griff,
No,
I'm going to toss it to you. What do you got for your
that's a good
back-to-back picks?
Okay. I'm gonna start off with the classic, a backup on a tee box. Having a crazy backup on a tee box is the worst thing. It's not only when it's just you're waiting for one group ahead of you, it's when there's another group at the tee box with you. So usually you can like chip around the tee box when you're waiting if it's a long time. But if someone's ahead of you, you're just waiting, sitting in your carts on your phone. Sometimes it's like a 15-minute wait just to tee off. That's annoying. That is very annoying.
Yeah, that's
It's the
yep.
worst.
And for my next pick, just directly relating to my game and super aggravating thing is 3-putting, sometimes 4-putting.
Ooh, I
But
have that good one.
Yep.
relating to my game, when I 3-putt, I am so mad. That's how you turn birdies into bogeys. Well, you know the saying.
Oh yeah. Classic.
All right, we're gonna send it back to
all right.
Will.
So the
Wait,
next
isn't it mine?
Oh yeah, no, it is you, Stop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is you. And then I'm back to back again. And then
Okay.
Oh yeah, we send it back to Scott. Okay, the
So-
first mess up.
It's okay. It's the first one that we've ever done. So, my next one is the first hole in general, the first tee box.
Just the whole one.
That's a solid answer.
The first tee box sucks regardless. You know, you always have people watching you. You're gonna mess up. You always just hit it either 3 feet or you shake it completely. Very rarely do people have good drives on hole one.
It's a good one.
That's a very good pick. I especially me. I had a good one the other day, and Will, you were with me. We had like a whole golf league waiting to go behind us, and they were all meeting at hole one. I kind of
Yeah.
hit a bomb there. Wasn't on the fair, it was a little left, but I hit a bomb. But that was like the first time I think I've ever hit a good shot on hole one.
I usually have fine shots, but like some days if it's been a while, it's never gonna end.
You just go up. It's your first shot. Usually we
Yeah.
don't hit the driving range either, so it's literally just your first shot of the day.
Stuff. I have the exact opposite of yours. I have having a bad 18th hole. If you're playing 18, you end your round on like you literally take like an 8 on the last hole. Like that completely ruins. Like for me, that ruins my day.
Yeah.
I could be playing great all day long. You take a look at your scorecard going on to the 18th hole right when you get to the tee box. You're like, wow, I just need to make bogey here and I have a great round. And you're like, okay, not that hard. And then you get like an 8, especially at Green Hill. Like you're just like, you have a bad hole on the 18th hole, like you literally go home so disappointed.
Yeah, slanted.
Yeah,
no, that's a good pick. I like hole 1, hole 18 going back. That's kind of where I would expect it, is going back to back, hole 1, then hole 18. The start and the finish. It's usually because you heat up, or at least I heat up. I heat up like around like sometimes 9, maybe 10, and then I'll die off at like 16. And then 17 and 18
16,
are real
17,
battle
18 at Green Hill is actually like fatigue. Like you actually have to handle the battle there. Like it's hard.
All right.
My next one on the back to back is where is it? Other people like in the way when you're trying to hit the ball, like people too close, like watching you. Like when you're just trying to hit the ball off the tee box, like especially if you're playing like a more of an open course, like if someone's just right there,
if someone hits onto your fairway and they just wait and they're just watching you hit,
like that pisses me off. Or like someone just like if like someone's waiting for like basically waiting for you to tee off and they're just waiting for you, looking at you, and they're in like your peripheral, like I lose my mind. Like I can't not think about hitting them, and it's just like the hardest thing ever.
Okay, my next pick is when you hit a perfect drive, dead straight, and you just can't find it.
Yeah,
Like,
you go down, you walk the
know
ride
it's
down,
safe.
There's
It's
no idea
maybe
where it is.
yeah, and maybe it's an uphill where you can't see where it lands, but you know it's safe. It's dead straight, perfect sound. You go up, you take your card up, and you just can't find it.
Remember Will
Literally
did that
not
on
there.
hole 17? We actually thought
Yes.
like it might have gone too far over the green.
Dude, that was the most annoying thing ever. I literally thought I like had like an amazing shot, and it just was
Like
no
maybe your best shot ever.
I know.
thought. And yeah, no, that's a good pick. Okay, it's me. I'm gonna go. This one hits. Going to the turn, and you're in the little store isn't open at the turn.
That's
Yeah,
a
you
good
took mine.
one.
You took
Dog or
mine. You took
burger or
mine.
cold drinks. That is the worst. We literally every time we go to our golf course, there's a little store at the turn that like sells hot dogs, the little grill and all that, and then they have ice cold like Gatorades, waters, also alcohol. Like when that is closed, we notice it right away. And we're like, we might have to go somewhere else to get something going on to 10. I think that is a big hit mentally. You're thinking about it the whole time on the front nine. It's like I'm not getting anything at the turn.
It's like once you drive by, you don't see it's open. You're just like it's a shaky round. It's a shaky round.
It's like I feel like we text each other every single time that we see that it's not open, and it hasn't been open the past few times on weekends.
It was open today when I went.
Thank God. I think now that it's like officially summer, I feel like we've been doing good with it being open. I've seen a lot of different people training there too, so I think we're good for the summer. So that's big news. But I feel like that's a big hit. Okay, this one, I don't know if it could be controversial or not.
Wait, what pick is this for you? Is this your fourth?
Yeah.
Fourth. So you're fourth, and then I have my four. Okay. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna have the last pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Picture the scenario. You're walking, we'll say 9. You have to use the bathroom on hole 3. That's a bad situation.
It is a bad situation.
That's a very bad situation. Because like usually hole 3, it's like you're not near hole 1, you're not near the start, you're not near any restrooms. And you're walking, especially not cart, you could maybe sneak back, sometimes not. But if I'm walking 9, I'm walking 9. I don't have anything else interrupt. So if you have to use the restroom, like as a male, if I have to like pee, if I have to go number 1, I'm like fine. But like number 2 especially, that's
a rough situation. That's a rough situation. Yeah. That's like a round breaker pretty much.
It really is. It's a total mental shift.
It is.
Yeah. All right. So this is my pick, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking your driver head.
Oh,
you're at the range.
Been there.
Yeah,
I've been
there. I know Will has. I don't know if Griff has. The feeling you get.
No, thankfully not.
When you break your driver head, you just feel so emasculated. You know that hopefully that the place will help you out, that you go, but that's almost like a $500 mistake. That's the worst gut feeling I think I've ever had as a golfer. I think I just wanted to stop playing golf when that happened to me.
That's a good pick. That's a very good pick.
Yeah,
I remember
it's such a devastating. It's such a devastating. I don't even want to talk about it. It like could bring a tear to my eye. I miss Big Bertha every single day. It was sad to see her go, but it was something that had to happen. So, so for my last 2 picks, I'm gonna go one that wasn't on my list, but I just thought about it because it happened to me the other day. Is specifically you're hitting any shot, you have either like huge water hazard or you like huge water hazard, either like a big bunker anywhere near. You hit a great shot, but you watch it take a horrible bounce. Either OB rolls right off into the water, or like me, sometimes I hit the cart path on like 9 and it bounces into like the parking lot and I'm just done. Like your hole is over. Like you literally like it's worse off of like an iron shot than it is off the tee box, because then you can just like take a mulligan, I guess. But like just watching your ball literally just go OB or completely just into like anything. It's so devastating watching that happen.
Definitely. That's a good pick.
Yep.
And then my last one, obviously if you're playing at like your home course, you already know what your golf cart situation is. But one, either there's no golf carts left when you go, because this has happened to me and Griff before,
Yeah.
or the golf carts just suck and they're really slow, and it's like it just ruins the whole like round by just like running in a slow car, like a broken car, pretty much. Just completely ruins my round.
Okay, that's a good one. And I'm going to kind of talk about round ruiners here with my last pick, when you just straight up can't hit the ball and you don't know why you're
Like the
missing.
whole day. The whole day.
You line up perfectly, you feel like you can swing, everything feels good, and you hit the ball and it just goes like straight down. That's the worst feeling ever. It's so demoralizing. You don't want to keep playing. And yeah, that was my last pick.
That's a good pick.
That happens to me sometimes. It's the worst.
No, it really does
it's
happen.
the worst.
Because the level of golf we play, it's like we show up and we honestly don't know what's going to happen. You know, sometimes like I wake up in the morning and I'm like mentally preparing to go play 9 or about it. I'm back. If I'm not thinking about it all day, and say if we book like a last minute tee time, I am not like good at all, and it's so frustrating because it's every hole, and you're just praying for one hole. You're praying for one hole to be good.
Yeah, that's facts.
Okay, so I have one more pick. We're gonna go. Okay, we're gonna go being like in the first cut and taking an approach shot like within like 50 yards, I would say. Not just the first cut, within 50 yards, taking an approach shot and just missing the green. Like that's what changes. Like say if you're chipping for birdie and you are looking to get it close for par, and then you just don't even hit the green. Now you have to take another chip, and now you have a bogey. That is so frustrating when it like you should be automatic with it, and it just doesn't even get anywhere close to the green. Or especially when it rolls off of the green, that's even more frustrating.
It's demoralizing.
It is. It's like I needed that. I didn't.
This might be a little wrinkle, but do we want to do like honorable mentions? Because I have a lot. I don't have a lot, but I have some that weren't mentioned here that I do still kind of want to talk about.
My big one was people not yelling for like when it's like needed. Like
okay,
like,
all right, I have
because like I think you play a fine line of like a situational for. Like if you're on the tee box and you literally hit to the other person's tee box and you don't yell for, like that's kind of like rude, because I'm just standing on the tee box with the boys and we're just sitting there. Like I'm down to get like I'm gonna get beamed. But like if I'm in the fairway and it's kind of like you can't really see the person, then you don't call it. Like that's not a mistake. Or if it's on like a really good drive and like
you almost hit the green, So my counter to that is having to yell for off of a terrible drive.
Yes, that is
it is a bad feeling.
That's another demoralizing thing where it's like my shot was so bad it might like hurt somebody.
Yeah, exactly. That's.
Like I might take out the guy on hole 9 right now.
I feel like that coincides with both hole 1 and hole 18.
Yeah,
you choose picks.
Okay.
I had a basic one that like I don't actually mind, but a lot of people like hate. Not that I don't mind it. Sometimes I have to step away, but if somebody's talking while I'm like warming up
I hate that when I suck. When I'm playing bad and someone's talking, I get pissed.
Yes. If I'm like in my backswing and someone says something funny, I like have to step away.
Yeah.
And like it kind of throws off my whole rhythm, and I'm guaranteed to just not hit a good shot from there.
Yeah.
So that's
it. All right.
That's an honorable.
I can live with it like once around, especially if it's like funny. Like, you know what, I'll take the good memory over like
exactly.
If we're having a chill day,
like an average shot,
just like a chill day, I don't really mind it because it's like we're just having fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not that big of a deal. I'm not really like we all know we're not rule sticklers when it comes to golf. We're there to have a good time. But like if I'm playing bad and I'm frustrated and I have someone else to blame for me sucking, I'm gonna blame them. And I got this one is kind of hyper specific to me. But when you lose all of your golf balls and you consistently have to ask the people that you're playing with to borrow theirs and you keep losing theirs as well.
That was on my list too. I was like,
I
well, like
I
when you
had
don't
that on
show
my
when you
list.
show up to the course and you look in your bag, you're like, I have 6 balls. Like I don't, and like
Yeah,
you're
6
coming off of a
pearls,
couple
yeah.
bad rounds. Like I don't know if this is gonna last me.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
I showed up today to Green Hill with one. We played the back nine. I showed up with 1 ball and I survived the entire round with it.
Wow,
So
that's
I'll
very
take
impressive.
it. Yeah, I shot a 45, so I'll take it.
Oh, not bad. One thing that I had, this will be my last one that I mentioned. I do it often. So, like, you know how sometimes we leave our bag, we don't bring it to the tee box. We leave our bag at like the next tee box, say if it's a
Yeah.
putter or something like that. If I'm at a tee box, I leave my bag like pretty far away, say like on the cart path too, and I don't have a tee. That pisses me off. Or even sometimes a ball. Sometimes I don't even have a ball, and I just have to either walk all the way back or ask somebody else for a tee.
That's the worst. My last one is like if your glove rips mid round. That just
Oh, glove rips stink.
it could be the tiniest rip ever. That's the only thing I'm looking at the whole day. I'm just like my glove's ripped. Like I have to get a new glove. Like
I have to
like,
get a new glove.
yeah, like you like I'm not
My
even
glove
gonna
ripped,
like
I get a new glove. I'm
yeah
not
like
gonna lie.
as soon like the only reason why I thought of that one because yesterday there's like a little piece like right by like where I hold my driver that's like fading away and I'm like this thing's gonna rip like the next time I go out.
And then you're just gonna get a new one right after that round.
Yeah, like you're going right to the store right after new glove.
Yeah, I mean that'll do it for the new segment. That was a very successful segment, boys. We got a lot.
I enjoyed it a lot. So we'll definitely be back with this
That
segment.
that's gonna be we're gonna do this every single episode, right? In the summer.
We should probably just do this every single episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why not?
I'm down with that. That's fun.
All right.
We'll have a good one. We texted about a few that we're possibly gonna do for the next episode, so
Yeah.
it'll be back. And how are we
It'll
gonna
be
do
back.
kind of what PMT does, and we'll tweet out or like
Yeah, we're gonna vote.
okay.
We'll vote.
We're gonna have votes on Twitter and Instagram for this,
Okay.
by the way. I'm gonna make
So
a
make sure to
graphic.
vote.
I'm gonna make some polls on our Instagram story and then on Twitter. So make sure to check that out at Inside the 5 Pod. Other than that, guys, I think this is gonna wrap us up, right?
Yeah, glad to be back.
Glad to be back. It's been a run. It's been a
had some
stressful.
technical difficulties.
It's been a
Yes.
stressful few weeks trying to find a way to record.
We had an
but we're
episode
here on
recorded
this.
literally last week, and
Yeah,
it just,
and the file
it
was just gone.
yeah.
So I mean, but
That
we're
was
back.
tough.
We have a good backup option, which is what we're using right now. I wouldn't say this is temporary because this is what we're going to go back to once we're all back at school. But the goal is to have us all together recording these. We did that last week, and then the video just stopped recording. I had it on my phone. We're getting a camera. We're going to be vlogging too. We're going to have episodes in person soon. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to check us out on the socials at Inside the 5 Pod. We hope you guys enjoyed. We're glad we're back. We will catch you guys on the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.